And good morning, peeps. No, your clocks are not wrong. I'm on an hour early, and I'm going to do a few adjustments this month. This is the end of April for the broadcast to a certain extent. What happened was I took nearly 2 week hiatus in there, so I'm kind of rejiggering things today. I've already got stuff set up for May, although it's not quite pre-programmed yet. I've got all the stuff. I just need to say, yeah, we're doing the broadcast, and I'll do those. I think a week at a time. I've got them already prepped. What I'm going to do right now first is you know the routine. hit the subscribe and the hashtag and all the things that make this channel go, so we can have our coffee clutch every day, normally at 10 Central Time. Take 10 at 10. That's our normal thing, but nothing's normal this month. We're in between eclipses, so we're doing our best that we can here. I'm gonna take the banner off because we've already got that memo. Hashtag peeps. And that brings me to the giveaway tool. So we're going to bring that up. And their world is not the only one. Hashtag peeps. And I'm going to start collecting now. And then I got to go and put something in the comments so we can see that that's working before we switch over to our regularly scheduled program here. Peeps. Alrighty, there we go. Peeps. We got it. And it should say 2 now. And see, because I've got it on Facebook and YouTube. Woohoo! We have success. Now, all we need is you guys to show up in the comments, and we will have ultimate success. I'm going to remove that right now and bring on Lee Maracle. And I probably am not pronouncing her name right. It's another Native American voice, right? I had a whole lot of these quotes, 6-7 years ago or whatever, with the an emphasis on the Native American heritage, which is November, Thanksgiving time. But I like to mix things up, so I don't like it just to be 1 month. We're doing poetry this month, technically, so I wanted to have all kinds of voices in my poetry. Not just American voices, but voices from throughout the centuries and throughout whatever. So get you a little bit of a taste of what poetry is like. And, even when I'd love to read the emerging Native American voices that are starting to be published. Thank goodness, right? That's happened to it really a lot in the last 20 years, and more and more. You'll see more voices being published. Thank goodness, thank goodness, thank goodness. When I read their prose, it's very much poetry, and when I read their poetry, I can see the prose in it, and. I'm not tribal. I'm one of those hillbilly folks that have a heck of a lot of Cherokee and Shawnee DNA in my blood. My grandfather's mother was, I think, registered. But, it has slipped, right? It's still part of my culture, but I'm not part of their culture in the way belonging to a tribe is. But I honor it, and I want to learn more about not only my heritage, my DNA heritage, but our cultural heritage as Americans, no matter our DNA, and just as a citizen of the world, it's just amazing to have Indigenous voices throughout the world getting a platform to speak their truth. And we owe so much to them, we forget how much we owe to them. And that's it's just such a delight to be able to put that up, to be able to share. And so our quote today is, where do you begin to tell someone that their world is not the only one? And I think that's pretty much what I was saying before, is it's not the only one. We think that somebody had, when I was traveling as a kid back in the 60s, they asked me where I was from, and I was, I'm from Illinois, pretty much. I grew up in Illinois. I was born in Missouri, but I got lots of family in Illinois. But when you say Illinois, people didn't understand it, especially back then. So I'd have to say, oh, I'm from Chicago, even though Illinois is huge and most of it is not Chicago. And I never lived in the city of Chicago proper. But you just say that just for convenience sake, for clarity's sake, for the smoothness of a social interaction's sake. And I remember somebody asking me, which Chicago are you from? And I thought, well, that's an interesting concept now, isn't it? That there would be more than one Chicago that you could be from. And that is the case. So whether you're talking about world and world travel, or you're talking about a small community, or a large city, metropolitan area, or any other thing that you can be identified as being a part of, there are ways to be a part of it. There's a way to interact with your world that is different than somebody else interacting with that same world. It's a whole different experience. So I can say, oh, I'm from this part or this suburb or at this time, or, we can try to place your culture in a time, space, and whatever. But really, we can get very micro with this. So when people say, I've lived in a lot of small towns in my life, and people will say, oh, well, that's very constrictive. I'm like, there's a whole lot of diversity in small towns. The problem is that our structures, whether that's on a global, national, state, county, local level, is structured so that only certain voices get heard, right? That is the problem. Because we are so much richer than our dominant voices. And I don't care what culture you're talking about. If there is some sort of constriction about who gets to have the platform, we are losing. We are at a deficit because we are losing so many ideas and people, and it is to our detriment to squash people's voices. And that's what we do. We think it's somehow safe if we limit people's voices, but it ends up being less safe. And the news today was somebody in Chicago, speaking of Chicago, was shot while he was using a leaf blower to clear off, his sidewalks and things. His neighbor came out and shot him. I'm assuming it had to do with the noise level, but I have no idea. I haven't read the whole article about it yet. But there's a whole spate of people being shot doing normal things in their normal safe spaces. And I want to posit to you that I think it's because people on both sides of that fatal altercation felt that their voice was not being heard. So how do we allow people to voice who they are and take up space in our culture without resulting in gun violence, right? It's not those people over there with the guns. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. And it's not just about guns and fatalities. It's about everyday interactions. And we are losing so much. So how can we reconnect and live a more richer, fuller life, right? Anyway, what I'm going to do, we're out of time. I'm going to go over and I'm going to add this back to the screen because we need to have some confetti in our lives. That's my thing. Is I don't mind talking about deep thoughts here, but I want some confetti in my life. What I plan to do today is I've got lots of things. The reason why I'm coming on early today is because I'm like double, triple, quadruple book from here to eternity. And there's something else that's going on in a little bit that I have to go and be a part of. And it's going to carry through to my normal live stream time. I'm going to be working out so that doesn't be the case. And I'm going to make it so if somehow or another it's something that I can't prevent, that I'll be able to pre-program and just do a live but broadcast kind of that way. Possibly. I hate to do that. I want to be live here. I want to be live here because, like I said, this is early days, so I'm expecting Ghost Town right now. That's fine. That's part of the process. It is just what it is. And it's part of that, the thing that I was saying about people are scared to come out and give voice. And I'm giving you a platform to give voice because I think it's amazing that we should be able to talk to each other like this from all over the world, connect like this. And I think it is world peace. Literally, I think it's world peace. I think it's one of the answers to some of the things that ail us as a society. What I'm going to do, just because, April was so funky, and I didn't get through my whole poetry thing. So what I'm going to do is sometime this weekend, and maybe even later on today, if you're subscribed, you will know. So hit that subscribe bell if you want to be notified when I do go on live. I'm just going to go through the whole roll of the month, and we're going to look at the quotes that I had pulled up a bit faster. We're not going to do 10 minutes on each one. But I do want to showcase some of those voices, and hopefully have a chance to have you guys tell us what your thoughts are about the author or whatever. Right? This is a co-creation. So when you show up, we will be able to pivot to the sweet spot that this show needs to be. But I need to go grab my other morning obligation. It's a pleasure, not an obligation. But I will see you again before Mondays. But if this is the only time you're catching me before Monday, have a pleasant and blessed weekend. Alrighty, see you then.